Hi, welcome to Sugar Free. This is an all signs general read for week commencing Monday, the 2nd of October, 2023. Goodness me, where has the year gone? Ah, dear. Only older people say things like that, you know. We still expect time to be passing as slowly as it does for younger people. I'm 58, you know. Yeah, time seems to pass more quickly as you get older. Word to the wise, all right? A decade feels like about a year. A year feels like about like 3 months or something. And my theory is that it just goes on getting faster and faster and faster until it's moving so fast, you just kind of like, you know, and that's death. Let's see if death comes up. Okay, I'm going to pull 3 major arcana cards. I've got here the major arcana, split into 3 now, of the ancient Italian tarot. I've got here the minor arcana of the Rider-Waite, split into its suit. So I'm going to pull 3 major and then clarify each of those major arcana with 1 from each suit of the minor arcana. That's how I do it. So that, yeah, let's see. Here we go. Nice. The High Priestess. The Devil in reverse. I'm liking the look of this. And the Hanged Man. Okay. Now, about these 3 positions here. Position 1 is like the immediate surrounding energetic environment as you experience it, or as it is experienced, like in the present, like what's going on at the moment. Position 2 is the hidden energy and the sort of the unseen potential direction of travel. Let me put it that way. And position 3 is kind of a message from the universe, I guess. The big picture, sort of things as they really are, but always sort of in the context of this first position. Things as we see them and how beautiful. We've got the High Priestess. So there's a kind of knowing, there's a peacefulness to this. And I would say a very spiritual energy. I mean, goodness me, the High Priestess, you know, Shakti. She's the kind of spiritual version of the Empress, you know, who's a different sort of Shakti. This is more like, if you know anything about yogic and Vedic stuff, this is more like Saraswati, okay? And then we have Lakshmi as the Empress, all that growth, all that abundance, all that stuff, all that material stuff, just like coming into being, growing, proliferating, and having its day, and then falling back into the great potential. And the High Priestess here knows all about that. That's what's written in that book on her lap. And I mean, she knows that book so well, she doesn't even need to look at it. She's not looking at the book, she's looking at us straight in the eye. She knows. This is the knowing. The knowing. But it's a kind of pure, unmediated knowing here. What a beautiful place to be coming in. The Devil in reverse here in the kind of hidden energy, potential direction of travel. What a blessing for us, the Devil in reverse. You know, all that kind of yummy suffering. Yeah. Because there is always with the devil, there's a kind of self-perpetuating it's like a vein of sort of self-destructive energy, self-destructive motivation that runs through, you know, all of us really. I mean, the key thing is to recognize it for what it is and start to deal with the consequences of it, of acting upon it. And perhaps that's exactly what's going on here, because it's in the reverse. But this might be something to do with something deep from the past. We'll see what else comes up when we clarify. And the Hanged Man, like, kind of forced, getting to the point where something has happened so many times that we've got to look at it. Where the kinds of I just want to see what follows the Hanged Man. Oh, interesting, because the Strength card precedes it. What follows it? Have I missed it? Sorry, I'm going through my lovely ancient Italian tarot here. I've missed it somewhere. Okay, looking for card number 3. There it is. Death. What was I talking about? This is really moving towards a change in perspective here, and actually putting in the work, actually engaging physically with like an intense change of perspective. It's a very, very powerful trio of cards here, and it bodes incredibly well, if I may. It really does. Looks good. I'm going to start clarifying now. Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, well, things are listen, if things aren't good for you on the material front and the financial front, I don't want to sound cheeky, but have another look, because you never know what skills, what knowledge, what experience you have that can be repurposed in some other field. Yeah, don't know where that came from, but there it is. Ace of Pentacles. I mean, you know, all good on the kind of on the material and the financial front. And there's an invitation here. My eye is really drawn to this little like garlanded gate here. There's an invitation to move, or the possibility to move. This card appears as an invitation for movement into a new territory. I mean, look at the difference there. We've got this quite sort of manicured environment here, but on the other side of that gate is mountains. There's a range of mountains, so there's a new adventure out there. No, hold on, what is that? I'm just looking at what those things are. It suddenly struck me there might be tombstones. What do you think? Stick it in the comments. What do you think they are? Or are they plants or something? But we've got this flat area and then this mountainous area. So basically a kind of change of scene on the material and financial front. Okay, let's keep going. Nice, like underpinned by this and another ace. Look. Wow, she's really here. So it's full steam ahead with projects. Full steam ahead. And like another invitation here, or not even an invitation. This is more like an invitation because we've got that gate to go through. This is just like, yeah, here it is. Crack on. This is getting busy. It's a busy, busy week, but it's busy in the context. It might, you know, it might be busy on the sort of the mental front in terms of, you know, working out how you might shift things around, if it feels appropriate to do that, or if the need seems to be appearing to do that. You know, this activity here, this karma, this like whack it on the head and make a dent in it kind of thing of the Ace of Wands here, you know, it has effects. It leaves imprints on the world. This is about constructing stuff in the world. But even that might be happening more as a mental activity. Yeah, well, there you go. There's plenty of mental. I mean, all the swords are about mental activity, but this is the consciousness that there is more than one way to go. There's more than one way, and there's a sort of hesitancy here. Maybe we're not quite on the right page yet with this, but it's very, very, very close. If we're not quite on the right page, it's like the next one. I mean, the fact that she is blindfolded there, I'm guessing it's a she. Don't know. Might be a bloke in a gown. But that always sort of not worries me, but well, it does a little bit in this reading, because what she can't see, or what isn't seen here, is this like encroaching tide of emotion in the background there. And you know, she's almost there like the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups on a stone throne in front of that water, knowing that there's more than one way to go, but not, in a sense, suspending decision. Okay, there's suspended decision here, but there's momentum behind this with that water. She knows it. She knows everything. And the Nine of Cups. Well, I mean, it's a sort of display of emotional abundance here, but there is actually nobody else there. There's no one else there. And it's, I don't know, it suddenly strikes me that there might be some sort of emotional, like, yeah, abundance, emotional, like, how can I say, growth, basically, and proliferation in a very, very kind of self-motivated and kind of independence. There's independence of emotional wealth here, because it is the 9. And, you know, he's either sitting there, we'll see through the rest of the reading, he's either sitting there going, look at all my cups, aren't I fucking brilliant? But the cups are all actually empty and there's no one else there. Or he's sitting there saying, right, I've got everything ready. All the cups are charged. They're all full and I am ready to welcome my my guests. There's a wish to do that. It is that in the context of the rest of this column. This is not some kind of fantasy pub landlord. This is the pub landlord, and they are coming. And like I said, yeah, there's a wish. It's all set up. Like, we're emotionally ready for the 10 of Cups, the happily ever after over the rainbow card. And yeah, I mean, I said I was concerned about this blindfold in this reading, but in a way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, like, which way we go this week. That's the like immediate energetic environment. We've got options. We know there's more than one possibility, and the direction of travel is emotional abundance and fulfillment, satisfaction, and this beautifully strong energy underpinning it all. So nice. That's enjoyable. Let's have a look at this. The Devil in reverse. I mean, at least he's in reverse. Now, I said, didn't I, this might be something from the past. And this right now, straight away, backs that up for me. Because this king, I mean, he's very stable. And he's almost like too stable. He sat there for so long that, you know, all those like vines with the incredible like bunches of grapes and all that, excuse me, material wealth has kind of bound him. And it's very, very solid energy, this. Really solid. And you know, solidity has its benefits, you know, things like floors and walls and stuff, you know. But solidity in the wrong place and in the wrong sort of proportions can be very, very sort of obstacle-y, and just a refusal to budge or an inability to budge. And that there's a sort of stubbornness about it. There's a real Taurian energy to this. And, you know, there are the bulls, the two bulls there. So there's something really, really established about this. And I mean, in that rather negative interpretation that I just gave there, that he's like all overgrown with these grapevines and everything, it was like the energy of the devil. But the devil's here in the reverse. So there's something about stuckness, and there's something about solidity, stuckness versus movement, and solidity versus kind of lightness, like ephemeralness. Let's keep going. It's always so interesting, this second column. Yeah, well, defensiveness says, well, he's not shifting. He's not shifting. But listen, I don't take reversals in this minor arcana clarification process. And, you know, for all the world, if these two cards, the King of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands here, were in the reverse alongside, because I do reversals, obviously, in the major arcana pool. You know, if they were like both in reverse in conjunction with this, it would be a much clearer energy. But you know, that I took a decision, that's how I run it, because otherwise the readings would be about like 2 hours or something. Yeah, kind of boundaries that either are or have become extraneous here. And I mean, I get the feeling that there's something almost kind of compulsive about this, about staying behind this fence, and that the time and the circumstances in which this was a good idea and sort of necessary and advisable and productive and all of that has passed. And perhaps it's the same story here with the King of Pentacles. Perhaps some sort of former seeming comfort zone has become like a bit of a kind of albatross, you know, so a bit of a ball and chain. And there's a fear about moving beyond it. And perhaps that fear about moving beyond that comfort zone, because I did say with the devil, you know, there is always something sort of like self-generated about it. And I mean, you know, we humans are sort of quite complex creatures, and you know, there's something in that sort of the deliciousness of of suffering. Oh dear. And yeah, perhaps that sort of unwillingness or inertia. This is like inertia, this King of Pentacles. This is unnecessary, outmoded, outdated boundaries and defensive systems. And perhaps those two things are feeding into this Two of Swords energy here. Where, okay, we know there's more than one way, but we're not committing this way or this way. Let's keep going. Oh, flipping heck. Wow, now we got the Nine of Swords. We had the Nine of Cups down there, now the Nine of Swords. This is fear that if we kind of allow this very positive energy here, things just feel kind of fecund here and feel right. It feels right. There's something we know, like deep down, that feels right here. It feels natural. It feels just. And there's fear here that if we actually invest in this, and the Ace of Pentacles is like, come on, invest. Like there's a whole new world out there through that gate. And we've got the clout to do it here with the Ace of Wands. But there's this fear that that if we step out, if we step off that throne, if we pull off those vines and cast them to one side, and if we start taking down this fence here, that we're going to be sort of overwhelmed somehow. That's what I'm seeing in the Nine of Swords. Let's see what we get for the Cups here. And the Eight of Cups. Yeah, something's going to be quite hard to leave behind. And there is a lot of change here. This is the fact that this is in the reverse, the Devil is in reverse, it really does show something sort of, I mean, like when we've been held down for a long time by, I don't know, just like bad habits, basically, be they mental, emotional, psychological, or physical, or addictions and all of this, when we've been held down by this for a long time, and sort of habitual defensive thought patterns, like anxiety thought patterns, if that suddenly goes away, I mean, basically, if the ties that bind us suddenly disappears, you feel like you're floating. I mean, I remember as a child, through certain experiences on holiday, of carrying around really heavy things, because my dad bought an off-grid, as he's now called, granite cottage in the middle of the mountains in Corsica in the late 60s. And we used to go out there and basically like live off-grid for 6 weeks in the summer. My father was a senior academic, so he was able to take these like long summer breaks, and we'd be out there and we'd be like lugging around like flipping bags of sand and like planks of wood and all of this, and like endless like containers of water from the spring down in the woods and that. And I can remember when I'd put something down that I'd been carrying, and I would feel like I was floating. And that in itself can be a bit of a weird kind of thing to happen when we're going through a period of fetters coming off, but still accompanied by this anxiety. And this Eight of Cups here, this walking away from something, we walk away rich because we're, there's a red robe here. So, this is, I think, ultimately a good move, but it's not a particularly joyous one. It's not like skipping off with like, a check for however much in your hand or whatever, it's not that. It's the lonely walk through the mountains. It's just like knowing you've got to leave something behind, knowing you have. And that if you act upon this, if you keep all this like in place, this Nine of Cups, this kind of motivation to expand emotionally and connect more widely and more deeply emotionally, or just in a new way, it would kind of reduce to this Eight of Cups, and you just have to sort of walk away from it as a kind of possibly like a sort of failed project. I don't know. So the stakes are quite high, I think, in this middle column, and that's quite unusual for hidden energy. But in a sense, I'm not surprised, because the energy here is so strong. So there is this kind of like whoosh. It's like we've caught a wave of kind of inspiration here, and things just like pennies dropping. And it's like, well, what does this actually mean? And will I, if I like transcend my limitations and my, you know, the things that have me bound, if I transcend them, like, will I be, basically, will I be sad? Will it be like leaving behind, you know, an old friend? You know, certainly in the case of addictions, of chemical addictions, even the most like kind of socially acceptable, even less socially acceptable than it was, but it's like a friend. It's a reliable thing, isn't it? A chemical addiction, you know what it's going to do, you know the effect it's going to have, and it doesn't let you down. Right? The price you pay for that is that you have to keep going back. You doubt it, you go back, you're satisfied. And then you doubt it, but you go back, and then you're satisfied. It's this tiny little gestalt, complete, this like neurochemical flipping gestalt, like running, being completed over and over and over again, and you're not actually getting anywhere. There's no actual forward movement with it. And of course, you know, with all of those addictions, you pay a price with your physical health, but it can be like a friend. So I think part of the anxiety here in the Nine of Swords is the sense that we will be leaving behind basically something that we really liked, you know, something with which we had emotional, how can I say, investment. Right, let's keep going and have a look here at the Hanged Man. Seven of Pentacles. So this is like the bigger picture, like message from the great void, shall we say, the great void of infinite potential. Yeah. We've got our little world here. We've got like karmic forces at work here that we might not see, and like bringing various kind of things to bear on us. It's like the subtle aspect. And here we've got the message from the great void. And so far it's saying that this is just going to keep on happening. This is evolution. This is how we grow. We grow by transcending this and choosing. And when we choose and we act in a particular way, that is karma. And there's, you know, the Eight of Pentacles. It just knocks out and knocks out, and knocking it out, knocking it out, knocking it out. This is how it works. And perhaps what is kind of elucidated with the blood rushed up to his head in like rapid and intense contemplation here, because it's necessary. Perhaps that, you know, is part of what is realized there. You know, we're forever arriving and leaving. Forever arriving and leaving. And we've got movement through this this kind of little portal here, this leafy portal. And we've got movement here in the Eight of Cups. So that's about it, really. Everything else is pretty flipping stationary, isn't it? It's not a whole heap of movement on the table. I mean, you know, walking away like in the Eight of Cups is, you know, sometimes it's hard to walk away from where we already are, because there's a risk involved, isn't there? You know, you don't know how big that mountain range is. Have you got the right kit? Clearly, yes. King of Pentacles. There's a lot of fruit there. Okay. Let's keep going. I think I'll probably have more to say on that. I mean, maybe I kind of want to say about this, the Eight of Pentacles, but it would belong more in this column. But there's more going on. There's what, like, the things that kind of pitch up in your life. I mean, some of our lives are self kind of created, and some of it is just like random shit where you're just, you know, You happen to be in a particular place at a particular time, and a particular thing happens, and, you know, it could change your life forever, maybe. Yeah, or not. Or just some like random encounter where you kind of, I don't know, got out of someone's way on the pavement and they smiled at you. Yeah, and then perhaps they went home and they were nicer to someone than they usually are. So I don't know. Yeah, or the opposite. The opposite. It's all going on, and it's constantly like bubbling away, like bringing us things and giving us opportunities to move towards things. Let's keep going. More Shakti. Very, very kind of strong, confident, like majestic action in the world as a result of all this work, this like karmic wealth creation going on here in the Eight of Pentacles. And this is actually being active with it. It's not the Seven of Pentacles where he's standing by the bush, so to speak, just watching it grow. Where is it? Let's find it. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, there we go. That's the seven. I mean, yeah, okay, he's put some work in, tilling it, but the thing's growing out on, you know, he's not making it grow. He's helping it, but he's not making it. But here, it's all our own work in the Eight of Pentacles. And goodness me, what a wonderful, wonderful result. I mean, the Ace of Wands here and the Queen of Wands here just makes this Nine of Wands here in the middle look even more sort of out of place. Like these two cards just seem so out of place. I mean, this is the fulcrum of the reading. Well, really, this card is. Yeah, two above, two below, one there and one there. This is the central card of these readings. It doesn't always stand out that way, but today it does. Wow. Okay, and then we get the Ace of Swords. Oh my God, there's so much potential. There is so much potential and so much power. And I see this sunflower that she's holding that turns its head to follow the light. I mean, that happens naturally. You can't make that happen. I suppose you can affect it in a little way in terms of like the orientation of the land that you plant the seed in or whatever. But, you know, that does it by itself. And this, all this stuff draping off this sword here looks like sort of, in this reading, looks like sort of solar flares to me, like corona mass ejections, sorry, or coronal, isn't it? I'm just remembering this lovely, lovely friend of mine who's no longer with us, telling me about a conversation he was having. They were these people I used to know, they were all like old hippies, like real old English hippies, and they're like boomer, like most of them are gone now, like even quite early boomer. And they were all sitting there and, you know, doing what old hippies do, chatting and indulging and that. And they were talking about coronal mass ejections. And the one whose house it was, who was the right character, he said, yeah, I have one of those in the toilet every morning. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. I might go cut that out of the final film. But yeah, this is like a fiery sword. And this is like the sword of the Tibetan Buddhist deity Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom, who holds this like flaming sword in the air and just like cuts through illusion and delusion and just bullshit, basically. Snicker snack. And that's the direction of travel of this like decorative aspect, this beautiful sunflower that this Queen of Wands is holding. It's in the direction of mental and verbal phenomena, because that's what the swords represents, and this is it in its purest form. So there's real There's kind of worldly presence here in the Queen of Wands. There's worldly presence to be kind of created, if you like, in conjunction with the power of speech and powerful speech. There we go. And like inspiration, because it's mental phenomena as well. It's not just verbal. This is just fantastic. That's where the light is. Okay. That's where the sun is that this sunflower is following. It's in mental and verbal phenomena. And look at that. Woohoo! 10 of Cups. Man, everything is possible. Everything is possible. And that which you truly, truly desire. And I say that in a kind of qualified way because I'm a Buddhist, so the whole like desire thing is quite interesting to think about. But you know, your happily ever after basically is one of the everythings that is possible. It's one of them. My goodness me. It looks to me, dear viewer, dear listener, that this week is just really, really kind of pokey. Like there's a lot going on with sort of the matter of, do you stay the same or do you change? Or just sort of feeling like things are kind of changing. It's like a wave. Like I said earlier, a wave has sort of like picked you up and you're moving forward. And, you know, this Two of Swords here, where I said, you know, that we're not concerned here about which way we go. You know, maybe that's a bloody good thing too, because the energy is just moving anyway. You know, if the wave's taking you in a particular direction, you know, you can try and swim in the other if you want, but it's not going to work, is it? It's not going to work. This is the key thing, this Nine of Wands here. Like he's got a feeling for me today, this chap here, that he's like frozen in sort of PTSD. And the thought of taking that fence down is just, it's terrifying. Nine of Swords. But this is the key to it all. This is the key to it all. And there's work to be done. And work can be done. This is what can be. All right? I said this is like a message from the great void. In the context of all this, there's fertile ground here for your great efforts, Eight of Pentacles, to actually take you to exactly where you want them to take you. Basically, of course it's possible. Of course it's possible. I'm going to pull an oracle card because I want to get more about, I don't have a clear sense here. There's something else needs to happen in this middle column. What oracle? I'm going to pull one from the Wild Kuan Yin oracle. Hold on a sec. Now this Kuan Yin is, here it is, look at this. Really beautiful oracle. Wild Kuan Yin oracle by Alana Fairchild. Kuan Yin is a kind of Mongolian, Tibetan plateau, like not prairie, but, you know, those really high, dry lands where you got the nomadic peoples with their yaks. This is the world of this oracle. And Kuan Yin is an emanation of the Tibetan Buddhist goddess Tara, who comes in many forms, the principal form being green Tara. And I've chanted the mantra of green Tara, Om Dari Tudari Durisaha, Om Dari Tudari Durisaha, Om Dari Tudari Durisaha, every day for over a decade now. And by God, it's transformed my life. So Kuan Yin and Tara, I've chosen the card. Kuan Yin and Tara are Very, very closely linked. Very closely linked. So let's see. We've got, okay. Whoops. We've got hold on to me. Okay. So what this is about, this is about not letting the kind of perhaps rapid and unscheduled kind of wave of energy that we're on here, not letting that kind of make us doubt ourselves. I mean, this says, hold on to me. This is Kuan Yin talking. All right. This is, and believe me, I was going to say this like the spiritual safety net. But in my experience, I mean, I started this mantra, like I said, 10 years ago. I was and never had been in a good, I wasn't and never had been in a good place in my life, really, at all, ever. Whatever the circumstances of it, I just was really deeply unhappy. And it changed when I started chanting that mantra. And whatever has happened since then, I have never let go. Never let go. Don't let go of knowing, excuse me, that this is possible, this 10 of Cups. Never let go of knowing that it's possible, ever, ever. And I mean, your sense of what that represents for you might change. It might not. But never let go of knowing that it's possible. That's it. That's you. That's your reading. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.